This is episode number 227 of the InnerFight podcast with three of the world's fittest people. Here we go then. It's almost like northern podcast, isn't it? All these northerners. Phil Hesketh, 29th fittest man in the world 2015. Everyone knows you. Everyone knows you. No one cares about you.
That's on the 28th.
Exactly. Stephen Fawcett, welcome to the show. Welcome to Dubai, mate. First impressions of Dubai?
Very hot.
Mate, what are you talking about? It's been raining.
Yeah, it rained. Cloudy.
Bit cloudy.
Like it. Good.
Samantha Briggs.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me. 2013 CrossFit Games champion. You get all of the questions. No one wants to speak to Phil Steele, mate. It's stealing the show wherever you go. Welcome to Dubai.
Thank you.
First time here?
Yep.
Enjoying it?
Loving it.
Loving it. Let's go a little bit back before you were all superheroes and before you were all super famous and had like millions of Instagram followers. That was before you came to Dubai, Phil. Steve, tell us a little bit about your sort of background in sport, how you got into CrossFit, and those things. So I think that's what's interesting to people.
So my background in sport, I started doing all the sports from like 7 or 8 years old. So I played football, rugby, swimming, athletics, cross country, all the stuff that you do through school.
Yeah.
Mainly probably, that was a bit
That's
close.
all right.
Mainly football and rugby and hockey and table tennis during like
Table
school
tennis.
time. I played to a decent level.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not slap tennis like you've got over here. It's table tennis.
He's upset with our bats.
Yeah.
Not happy with the bat?
No.
He's only got one that like spins or whatever.
Yeah, no one except you can play with that one.
Yeah. But then just played football from like, I think it was when I went to university, so 18 to 22, and just focused on that.
Yeah.
Got to a pretty decent level, but got injured, so I tore my ligament to my right ankle like 4 times in 2 seasons.
Right.
And then I got surgery to reconstruct, and then started doing CrossFit to get fit again to play football.
Wow.
And then when I got myself back to playing football,
Yeah.
I realised that my CrossFit training, my football was interfering with my CrossFit training, and vice versa. So
Right.
I did a competition. I think it was in 2011 Manchester Games.
Yeah.
Finished 4th. I was like, right, sod it. I'm just gonna sack
Do
football
CrossFit.
off, and just do CrossFit full
Wow.
time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Sam, obviously, well, from what people have said, everyone believes your background is in endurance, in triathlon and stuff. Right the wrongs. Tell us exactly how you came to CrossFit and what you used to do before CrossFit.
Well, actually, my background was football as well. I used to play all through school. Had a little bit of time off, and then once I left university, I started playing football again, and played until I was around 24.
Right.
And then when I retired from football, because that had been such a big part of my life,
Yeah.
it was kind of a little bit empty.
Right.
And that's when I started doing triathlons and
Right.
duathlons.
Why did you go to triathlon?
I already did a lot of running.
Right.
From school I did like cross country and stuff,
Yeah.
but never like competed in running really.
Yeah.
I raced mountain bikes for a little bit of my life,
Yeah.
and so cycling and running was already there.
Right.
So it was just kind of
How was the swimming?
that was the hardest bit. So most of the triathlons I'd come out of the water last, and
Right.
then kind of try and make up some ground on the bike, and then go for it on the run.
Right.
So duathlons I definitely did better at.
A little bit more interesting.
Two
And-
runs definitely suited me better.
So running was your strongest part.
Yeah.
Right. And so how did triathlon then lead into CrossFit?
Somebody recommended doing CrossFit to get stronger for the triathlons.
Right. So similar to Steve, really. Steve was
Yeah.
using it for football to get sort of reconditioned for football, and
Yep.
and you were to get better for triathlon.
Yeah, and it was working, but then I qualified for the games in 2010 and went to the games and was like, shit, this is miles better than doing triathlons.
What is it though? Because both of you have said something very similar. Like you were in another sport, and then you found sort of CrossFit, and then you sort of, like Steve said, you did a competition in Manchester. Sam, you're suddenly at the games. What is it? Was it the competitive side of CrossFit that just sort of was the bug that bit you straight away?
Just everything. It was crazy. I mean, like for me, it was the Friday night. We had to do Amanda underneath the lights in the tennis stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, that workout was horrendous for me. At the time, that was squat snatches at my max snatch.
Right.
But I loved every second of it, and I finished 19th that year, so just missed the cut to get into the final.
Right.
And I was sat there watching the final event. Like, next year I want to be here.
Right.
Like, doing the final event.
Right. And that's the motivation then, is it?
Yeah. So I did my last competitive duathlon. I had the World Championships in Edinburgh. That was September 2010.
Yeah.
So that was after the games, and I decided that was going to be my last race.
Yeah.
Concentrate on CrossFit, and that made the difference from 19th in 2010 to 4th in 2011.
Wow. Big improvements. We'll talk about those improvements, Phil.
Yes.
We've probably heard it before, mate, but it's only fair that you give us your move into CrossFit. I actually can say it for you if you want.
It's really similar to Steve's, really. Like, it was because of injury. Like, I was into like old sports when I was younger, tried pretty much everything. It was football till I was about 16, 17, then it went to rugby from sort of 18 to 21, and then it was just one season where I think I had maybe 3 hamstring pulls, one straight after the other, both legs, and I just remember sitting down and talking to my coach and saying, like, I'm going to take some time off, like, for the rest of the season to get fit, because we just tried CrossFit in pre-season,
right,
and really enjoyed it. So I'm going to go back and get fit, and he said to me, I'm worried that you're going to enjoy it more than rugby, and I was like, no, I'll be back, don't worry. And then I was like,
well, joke.
Next. See ya. That's it. But at the time, I genuinely believed that I was doing CrossFit I wanted to go back to rugby. I was obsessed with rugby at the time.
Right.
I genuinely believed I was doing the CrossFit because I wanted to be better at the rugby, and then I don't know, a few weeks in, I think for me it was the individual element of it, like just being completely in control, like you're the only person responsible. Sometimes when you play team sports, I never played at a professional level, but at that level, like, you have obviously conflict of interest with people who. Some people are super committed.
People go out,
and some people don't care. Some people are playing rugby to get drunk after the game. That was their whole motivation. And like being 21 and loving sports, that wasn't my motivation to do it. So as soon as I got into this thing where you were just completely in control of everything, and it was hooked straight away.
Steve, you started your own gym in which year?
So 3 years now. So 2013.
But you sort of started training, and when did you actually start CrossFit then?
So I've been in CrossFit for 5.5 years. So
Good.
I started
That leads perfectly into my next question. What's the changes that you've seen in sort of how CrossFit's become essentially a sport across the last 5 years, since sort of 2010? And obviously it's provided you a business, it's provided you travel. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, when I first, and Sam, you were probably doing it back roughly similar time or just before me, there wasn't really a great deal of information. There was like a CrossFit journal that you could read through and get kind of like some ideas about how to train and stuff. But it was just the main site, and then just do kind of what you come up with yourself. There wasn't really any information out there about like strength and conditioning for it, like actual science, energy systems that are being used and stuff like that. So for the first few years, it just seemed to be a bit like sporadic. I found my training was anyway. But now, like, the more years we get into it, you can see there's more people getting involved in sports science degrees, and there's actual like research about how to train for events and or for certain workouts. So I mean, it's still only been going 7 years, the CrossFit Games.
2007, right?
So that's still like it's still very early. And if you think about other sports like football, American football, and all that type of stuff, like, it's still very, very early. So no doubt in like 20 years' time, like things will be.
This is why you see like all the young,
like
the younger generation. That like when it first started, I would say that the average age was probably higher.
Yeah.
And then the younger sort of generation just getting so much better because the training and information, like Steve said, the ways that people are training is just so much smarter than it was like when we first started training together.
People have found it out already. Like we had, I feel that we had to find it out for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And we kind of had to, although there was some people that taught me techniques and stuff. Like we kind of have to self-teach ourselves.
Yeah.
Whereas the new kids coming into it now, there's established coaches there that know everything about the sport, and just give them the information straight away, and they can learn that within a year.
Yeah.
Whereas it kind of took us,
till now
to.
Sam, you've dedicated over the last sort of 4 or 5 years since you really got into CrossFit. You've dedicated a lot of time and energy and sort of given up a career or your career to almost on what Steve's saying on this learning process. Like you've taken yourself off to the States and you've just immersed yourself in different environments. Talk to us a little bit about that and those experiences that you've had.
Well, I think for me, when I missed the games in 2012, I wanted to make sure that if I was fit enough, that 2013 I committed to it fully. So as soon as the Open started in 2013, I worked my last night shift, and then it's just been a roller coaster from there. I sought out to train with some of the best athletes to just really push myself and to make a go of it in 2013, and it obviously paid off for me.
Yeah.
And then off the back of that, lots of opportunities opened up for me then.
Yeah.
And it was a choice that I had to make. It was kind of go back to the fire service and continue doing what I was doing. I was still training full time, but it's hard when you're working, especially night shifts.
Yeah, of course.
Or to just see where this journey takes me, and I'm still riding it.
You're still riding it. Do you think, but like what Steve was saying as well, like the stuff that you've learned, you had to give up your job, or you chose to give up your job, and you chose to travel, and you made a lot of choices to go and almost make yourself as good as you can at CrossFit. Do you think the information's sort of a lot readily available, so we're going to see a lot better athletes coming in the next few years?
I think the biggest thing is the amount of money that's now in it.
Right.
Which, like I said, the first 2 years that I competed at the games, 2010 I worked night shift on the Tuesday night, flew out the Wednesday, registered the Thursday, and competed the Friday.
Right.
You can't do that now.
Yeah.
But at the time, there was no money in the sport, so I had to work full time.
Yeah.
When I first opened up my gym in the UK, I was we could only afford to pay one coach a wage, so I was working as a firefighter, trying to train full time and coach classes,
and still made it to the games.
It's just kind of what you had to do at the time.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's more sponsorship, there's more people involved, a lot more companies involved. So that allows people to train full time. So you're going to see a better caliber of athlete because people can put in the time to train.
Yeah. There's some interesting questions that have come through from Instagram, the post that we put out. I know, Steve, you've got some as well. This is the first one actually comes back to you, Sam, and it says, how difficult is it to spend time training away from home, e.g. the way Sam spent a year in Miami? How do you even go about planning something like that? Where do you start? Did you just say screw it, got on a plane and went, yep, I'm out?
I wasn't just in Miami. It was kind of I've been coached by different people out in the US, so it was how it fell. I went out to Ohio first because I'd been coached by Laura Sweat. And spent some time in the off season working on strength there, and then went down to Miami because my Olympic lifting coach is there, and so spent time with him and working on things there. And my gymnastics coach came down to Miami to work with us there as well. So.
You've just mentioned 3 different coaches. Do you still work with different coaches for the specific disciplines of CrossFit that you've had there, like strength, weightlifting and gymnastics? Do you still work on that level with people?
Yeah, I still have those 3 coaches, and I kind of just piece it all together and then put the conditioning and metcons in.
Right. Captain Brooks says there's been much talk of something previously untested coming into the games this year, such as triple unders or the freestanding handstand push-ups, which I've seen you all practicing the last week since you've been here. Last year we saw the pegboard and a heavy pig. What do you guys think there may be this year, and is there anything you're particularly hoping for or looking to avoid? Steve, what do you want to see come up?
Good question. I would like to see freestanding handstand push-ups.
You'd like to see those?
Strict ones especially.
Is that because you spent hours practicing them?
I've not spent hours. I'm good at handstand push-ups.
I'm just really good at them.
I'm good upside down, so... not sure what else I'd like to come up.
But I mean, this opens up a big debate, doesn't it? Like, every sort of year, Dave Castro manages to put something in there that's a little bit different.
I hope he does, because...
It's not usually at regionals that they introduce that, though, is it?
No.
If it's something so different and difficult, it's usually at the games that they would introduce.
I hope they do it at regionals, though, because with regionals, especially for our region, it's like the 4th week.
Yeah.
So people just do the movements, do the workouts over and over again.
Yeah.
And whereas if it's a completely new movement that's pretty high skilled, like if you can already do it now and then you've got 4 weeks to practice it, then you're going to be miles ahead of someone who can't do it and has 4 weeks to try and be able to do it, just like 1 or 2 reps or whatever it is.
You were all 3 there at the games last year when the pegboard was announced.
Yeah.
And you didn't get any time to practice it, right?
No, there was nothing behind the scenes. No.
What's your immediate reaction when they say is going to be this thing pegboard?
Well,
it's quite exciting.
Yeah, well, Castro did it, so we were like, everyone kind of looked at each other, was like, yeah, fucking if we can do it, then everyone's sound. So like, I spent like 20 minutes warming up the 45 kilo dumbbell squat snatch.
Right.
And I just did a few chin-ups, like, I'll be able to fly through that pegboard. And then got to it, and like, I found it really easy to go up.
Yeah.
But then I just couldn't understand how to get down efficiently. Like, I'd spend far too much energy trying to get down. So I did it once, went up and down once, and then went up, got to the top, and then halfway down and just dropped, and then did that again, and then it was time up.
Sam, pegboard?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always up for a challenge, but no.
No.
Not that one.
It was just,
what was your thought
nothing.
when he said it? Was it the same? Was it, Castro can do it, I can do it? Or
no, because I know that he'll have practiced it. He wouldn't have done it on the fly. It's
so
not like,
many times practicing.
It's not like somebody's just said, right, Castro, you've got to do a pegboard climb now.
Yeah.
He's not had a chance to practice.
Yeah.
But no, I think it would have been different if we'd have been given a chance to just have 10 minutes to play with it.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that I've tried the pegboard after I've figured it out and I can do it.
Right.
Trying to do it there, no. I was trying to do it how you're meant to do it.
Yeah. Do you think that is something that is a good thing of CrossFit or a bad thing of CrossFit? That you get in that situation, you're supposed to be the top fittest people in the world, it's a big spectacle, and I don't know if you're expected but to be able to do it, but you're just given something and no practice. Do you want to see more of that?
I think there's 2 sides to it. I think one, then it's how we adapt to the situation.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But 2, it was the last event after a full weekend, and so everybody's already fatigued and kind of just thinking about the after party.
I think, and I've said it before, and that's why I think Brooksy mentioned it. That I think what Castro said is, if the one person can do it, then it's a fair test.
Right.
Like if nobody had completed a rep, then obviously it wasn't. It just wasn't, a good test, and it shouldn't have been there. But if one person can do it after all that, then they're obviously fit enough to do it, and maybe everyone should be able to. It's just one of those things. But I think it was. I liked it that they put. I said before the games that I want to do something that I haven't done in the gym.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's just fun. Like the wheelbarrow.
I've
was-
never seen you do Murph in the gym.
Fuck the wheelbarrow.
I've done Murph before.
You got
Didn't
that.
want to do that.
You got that one
the
as
the
well.
wheelbarrow was different. Like I know some people had done that because they'd been there in 2010, but like, I'd never done anything like that
You're
before.
never going to be able to pick some sandbags up for a stadium. Put
Yeah.
it out, you're never going to be able to do that in
Something,
the gym.
something a lot
It was
different.
just fun, yeah.
Another question come in. What do you guys think of Ido Portal and his movement culture method, and how do you compare that to CrossFit? I guess the comparison is different, but any
Yeah.
thoughts on what
I
Ido
mean,
Portal's
I saw
saying?
that question last night, and I was like, I know who the guy is.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't have a clue
What he does.
So I had a little read of it, and he just seems to be a bit like the whole body does a movement rather
Yeah.
than like isolating certain muscle groups.
Yeah.
Which I guess can transfer quite well over into like gymnastics, where
Yeah.
you're doing like you're using your whole body to do like a kip, or in Olympic weightlifting where you're keeping tension through everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Cameron always says, like keep connection
Yeah.
through like your foot to the foot plate to your hand. But like I saw some of the moves that the guy was doing. I was like, we train like 2 or 3 hours a day as it is.
Yeah.
Like adding another 30 minutes of that stuff. Is it actually gonna?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like as bang for your buck as some other stuff?
Do you
could be,
think
or-
you guys are a little bit different though, in that you're specifically training to obviously the Open and then regionals, and then the ultimate is obviously getting to the games?
Yeah.
Do you think that your planning and where you're at as athletes is slightly different? Do you think that some people could actually do with more movement-based training when they first start in CrossFit?
Yeah, definitely people that are new into CrossFit.
Yeah.
If they've not got like a sporting background, maybe
Yeah.
how like us three have,
Yeah.
then they've probably not got that awareness, that body awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So stuff like that probably would help, yeah.
Would help a bit. This is quite a general one, but what was the best advice you were ever given, and or if you were to give advice to somebody new starting out at CrossFit, what would you tell them? Sam, you want to have a crack at that? What was the best advice you were given when you were sort of leaving or moving from triathlons into CrossFit? Anything that really stuck with you?
I can't think of anything right now.
What's the best piece of advice you would give to people starting CrossFit then?
I would always say just have fun.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
the main thing.
yeah, I see people at competitions and it doesn't look like they're enjoying it at all.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy it.
You seem to have quite a knack of enjoying yourself sort of between events, after events, even almost quite up to it. I know, like when we did a competition together, when I've seen you on the camera, you're quite relaxed, but then you sort of switch on very fast into something. Is that just a personality trait, or is that something you've trained, or do you just find that you can find your focus very easily?
I don't know whether that might come from like my background being a firefighter,
Yeah.
just being able to, when the time's right,
Yeah.
switch on and get the job done.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it's also, having seen you train a lot the last week, you stood around having a conversation, laughing, very jovial, and then literally 3 or 4 seconds you get your focus and then you lift the weight. Do you think that's something that? Do you think sometimes people are a lot too stressed out about CrossFit and just
Yeah.
just lose their mind and that fun part goes away from it?
Yeah, and it looks miserable.
Do you see? Is that what you see when you see people? Is it?
Sometimes, yeah. And I speak to some other athletes, and an example, I was like planning on doing a workout, and another athlete was like looking like, "Oh, that looks fun. None of my training's fun." And I'm like, "Well, why are you doing
Why
it?
are you doing it? Yeah.
Like, we spend so long in the gym.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying it, then really, what's
the point? And that probably applies not only for you training, like Steve says, a number of hours a day, but also for the person who has a busy family life, has a busy work life, and is only in the gym for an hour a day. It should be a fun time.
Yeah, make that hour there released. If you've been working all day, stressed, and then you've got to go home and cook and look after the kids and stuff, that hour should be your de-stress hour.
But how do you do that if, like, you guys have perfectionist personalities, you want to get really good at stuff, you're really working hard at CrossFit, and I think in CrossFit it's similar for the people that aren't very good. They still want to become very good, and a lot of these skills and the strength takes time. So how do you channel that want of perfectionism and want of being the best you can whilst having fun? Because if you're not mastering a movement, is it still fun? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, you just got to be patient and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
You've got to understand that it is going to take time.
Yeah.
And
You got to be realistic
Right.
as well. I know it's like some people don't want to hear it, but like we've talked about before about certain, like depending on what level you're at, then perfectionism might not. Although people say they want to be able to do a perfect snatch,
Yeah.
like you could easily look at a 15-year-old girl at the weightlifting like champions have just been on who's lifting more than you.
Yeah.
Like, so no matter how, you have to really be realistic at how good you actually think you can be,
Yeah.
and not then stress. Like, there's no point in me getting super stressed that I can't lift this weight or this weight if it's something that's completely unrealistic. Like,
Right.
otherwise I'm never going to be happy with it. Like,
So people maybe manage their expectations
Yeah.
a little bit different. A few fun questions have come through. I'm not sure exactly who these ones are aimed at, but what is the ideal ratio of bourbon biscuits to
I know
tea
that guy. Yeah.
pre-workout? Is that one for you,
That guy's
Steve?
called Luke.
Pre-workout.
Yeah. So he was on one of the best of British camps that we ran, and he saw me, Jack, and John just smashing a lot of bourbons before. But we weren't drinking tea. I don't know where he got the tea idea from.
no, so it's like 100 to 0.
So yeah, so
He,
it's
he
just,
brought a load of that bourbon spread, so the creamy bit in the
Yeah,
middle of the
yeah.
biscuits. Bought that, so it was like bourbon biscuit with bourbon spread.
yeah,
Smashed
straight down and just had a load.
4 to 5 per
Bucks.
per session.
4 to 5 for optimal. That's from the guys at CrossFit Swindon. Another one's come in from Mike, who I think also is a friend of
Yeah.
yours, Steve. What's your favourite Daka Dak song?
Do they even have names?
I don't think they have names. I thought they were all just called Daka Dak.
yeah.
Are you a big fan of this Daka Dak techno?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
You like
I mean,
it?
It does get too much at
Yeah.
times, but like, yeah, certain sessions, certain environment.
Yeah,
Like I put it on for 16.1, the 20-minute
Right.
slog.
yeah,
It was good just to like zone out and just keep going like the same beat over and over again. But then literally, like on my video, as soon as that workout is finished, and
Yeah.
he shouts time. I
Turn
could
the
just put
music
to the
off.
floor and I'm like, fucking turn that music off now.
Just
I'm
get
like,
it off.
Get it off. I just needed silence because, don't know, it's good just to kind of like
I
get
remember
you
when
in a zone. And
Phil first came back from Iceland, and
Yeah.
that's all he wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
It was,
It
was-
soon
No one
get-
would
it
like
soon
me
gets
until,
too much.
until Carmen came, and then
and then it's the same. She's
and then I
allowed.
can't wait for her to turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Any favourite music for working out, or don't care, don't listen?
yeah,
Does it make a difference?
Yeah, I like all the kind of like house and electro. I like something with a decent beat on.
Yeah,
I mean, just
Beats.
beats, just beats. That one, what is it?
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Here's another question from Philip Anderson. Sam, you're renowned for your engine, winning Murph at the 2015 Games, Open 16.1, longer workouts, etc. What is the one thing that's helped you build this capacity? Spending time on the rower or just working along aerobic-based metcons?
no idea.
all of them.
All of them. I mean,
I think it comes down to genetics.
Yeah.
Give me a long workout, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Give me something short, all-out effort, I'm not that keen.
That almost leads into this question. What would be your dream workout to see at the regionals then?
Triple
Regionals?
Murph or triple Murph. Just kill all the rest of the opposition.
Obviously some kind of chipper
Yeah.
around the 20-plus minute mark.
That's what gets you excited.
Yeah.
What's your favourite one at the chippers that have been at regionals over the last sort of 4 or 5 years? Which has been your favourite, the longer ones?
Trying to think.
50s.
Yeah, I always remember you on that 50s because
Yeah.
that was the year that like you had the handstand walk, wasn't it? And there was like the whole arena at Ballarup was like chanting your name, and there's like it was like that boom boom shh, like for the
Yeah.
whole arena. And I just remember you just storming through the deadlifts on the second round. So
I remember watching you doing the
hundred.
It was like my first year as an individual when you did the hundreds. I was watching you do the chest to bar pull-ups. I was like, oh no, she's so much better than me. I was like halfway through the chest to bars. I was like, Sam made this look so easy. You started off in fives or something.
I did fives all
why
the
should
way
you do fives? I was like, I'm definitely going to do 30 on my first set. I did like 7 and ripped my hand, and then I was like, oh, 93 to go.
Yeah. No, the hundreds was fun, and we redid the hundreds the other week, and I enjoyed that again.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird because I really don't like pistols,
Yeah.
Right.
but I don't mind the workout. I don't know.
plod away through them. Though.
Talk to us a little bit about Murph at the games. Obviously, I watched the Fittest on Earth video, and that probably got the most. Oh, it was so hot. It was just horrible. It was everything. But you seemed to. Did you enjoy it?
No, it was awful. It was hot.
Yeah.
And it's just monotonous. Like, you go out on the run, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
The pull-ups go pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then you're doing the push-ups, which feel like
Not so quick.
they're taking forever. And then you get onto the air squats.
Oh my God.
And then the sun's just beating down on you.
Yeah.
And it just feels like these 300 are taking forever.
Really?
But it was just kind of, I had a number in my head, and every time I'd do like that many squats, I'd like stand up, do that many squats, and I just had to get to that number every time.
Single time. What was it?
I can't remember now.
Did you go
10.
into it?
Mine was like 4s. Then I knocked it down to 3s after the 20.
Do you go into a workout like that pretty much knowing that you've got a really good chance of doing well?
Yeah, I mean, I know what I'm good at
Yeah.
and what I'm not good at, so
Right.
it's kind of, I kind of know which athletes are going to be like decent at it as well. Like, obviously, like Kristen Holte is definitely one that I was looking for on that one.
Yeah.
So in my head, it was kind of like do a decent first run, get in, and just keep moving on the movements, and then go for it on the second run.
Are you more nervous before the events that you think you're going to do well at, or the ones that you don't think you're going to do well at?
The moderate ones.
Somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, so the ones where I could potentially do pretty well,
Yeah.
but I could maybe mess up. You can't.
Yeah.
I didn't really see that I'd mess up on Murph.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
If there's an element of the workout where you could screw it up, then it becomes nerve-wracking because like the snatch last year, like you have 2 attempts after a handstand walk.
Yeah.
But like Randy, although it was nerve-wracking because it was the first event, like it's 75 snatches, 35 kilos.
Yeah.
You can't really mess it up.
You can't
unless
screw
you
it
like
up.
no rep or
Yeah.
drop it behind your head. But it's just stupid errors. But
Yeah. What comes through with you guys obviously is that you identify what you're good at and you're getting better at what you're good at. What we see talked about a lot in CrossFit, or what we've seen generally, and I think probably when you were coming through what you were saying before, Steve, as well, is like work your weaknesses. But you guys really back your strengths as well.
yeah, I mean,
how does that work, A, for you, and B, for people sort of coming into CrossFit as well?
You need it with the new regional, especially with the new regional and with the games, but especially the regional scoring system. That if you can win an event, then it just makes a huge difference on that leaderboard. I managed to take a 32nd last year and still qualify for the game.
Right.
Which
game.
The game.
Camille.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not going to do it. Voice.
It's the opens.
But you didn't get super punished for having like a bad event, but it felt like you got really rewarded.
Yeah. Look at Young Fiske, who was just 6th behind you, wasn't he? He
Yeah.
won the snatch, won the handstand walk.
Yeah,
and he was good on the clean ladder at the end. Like he was all right.
Yeah.
But like he was up there for games contention.
Yeah.
Like, and he come in the 30s for 1 or 2 workouts.
Yeah, it's just good knowing you go into if I go into an event and there's a squat clean ladder, it's just one event where I know that sweet, I've got a top 3 easy, probably a win.
Yeah.
And it's just a massive confidence boost knowing that before, last year before the when the workouts were released, it was so good having event 7 as a squat clean ladder, because it was just I don't even have to worry about the last event anymore.
Yeah.
So you as well as obviously not having weaknesses, which is important. You need something. I think it's really important on the girls' side this year because there's so many good girls in that Meridian Regional that you need to be able to take one really good place to just give you that advantage over the other girls. Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Sam? Because you're obviously incredibly good at a whole variety of things, and then there's been certain things where you've slipped up in the past. So do you still look at the events where you know you're good and just I'm going to win that, I'm going to get loads in the games, or those point system, however it's worked, and just going to place really well in those events, and then the others just sort of do my best?
I think for me now, especially I'm 34 now, so like strength, which is a weakness of mine, is even harder to like come by now. Especially like 2 bad injuries last year.
Yeah.
It's just really taken a toll like on my strength numbers.
Yeah.
So for me, even though I am working hard, like my progress in strength is like pretty much slim to none.
Really? Does that bother you?
I think, like I was saying earlier about genetics, I think I am built for more endurance stuff.
Right.
So it's hard for me to pack on strength.
Yeah.
It's getting those fast twitch fibers, and
Yeah.
my legs don't want to do that. My legs just want to run.
Right.
But you have the ability to win events though in other areas.
But
So like I
that's
say,
so-
you can make up for it. Like I know that there's certain things that I don't think I'll ever be good at. I can do them. There's certain things that I know I'm not going to be good, like be able to win events in. But so just other things I've got to make up for it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've got to do this year. I'll try and focus on moving the barbell a little bit more efficiently,
Right.
and just to try get a little bit more comfortable at moving heavy weight more.
Right.
So like at the games when it was the heavy DT,
Yes.
I still finished that under the time cap.
Right.
But if you look at my 1 rep max compared to probably all the other girls who actually like finished it, I'm probably going to be nowhere near them.
Right. So that's a great result, really.
So I've just got to try and be as good as I can moving the heavy barbells, and I'm going to take a hit on a max lift and stuff, and then I just have to try and like smash everything
the longer
else.
stuff. Yeah. This is for the guys because it's talking about the girls, but of course, Sam, you can chip in. What females do Steve and Phil think will qualify out of the Meridian region this year? Also, will you change your...
Carmen and Mia won't listen to this, will they?
No, mate.
Sweet,
They
okay.
don't know how to. They don't know how to download the app.
Okay, cool.
So, who do you think? What females are we looking for this year? What should we look out for?
Well, there's no Katrine now, is there? So
Let's go start with Samantha.
Yeah, we've got Sam.
Sarah.
Sarah. I think Annie. Well, Annie's scores in the Open were good.
Yeah.
So there's 3.
And then there's Kristen always as well.
Kristen.
Thurida Helgadottir's been it'll be her 4th time if she qualifies.
Yeah.
People don't really know her name, I don't think, but she's been quite
Too
a few
hard
times.
to spell.
Carmen's got so much better at the things that she was bad at last year. Like she only, I don't think she finished outside the top 15 last year.
She not.
And still was 6th. But I think like that the longer event, which was her bad event, I think it took her 12 minutes to run a mile or something. Like she's got so much better at those things she was bad at. So if she shows up and doesn't drink every night and sorts herself out, I think she'll do really well.
Yeah.
I got confidence in Carmen this year.
Second part, Sam. Any thoughts on the girls? Do you want to share any opinion on the girls? You're going to the games this year.
I hope so. I think like the Meridian region is the hardest one for the girls. If you look at the top 10 open place finishers in the world, 4 of them were from Meridian region.
Meridian, right.
If you look at the top 20, there's 9 from the Meridian region.
Right.
And that's 9 people, top 20 in the world.
And
It's
only
quite
5
lucky
can
that
go.
three of them have gone team. Like Julie Abelgard, Tammy, and Jamie have all gone team.
And you've still got 6.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's lucky that because those 3, if you throw them 3 in the mix as well, that's almost 10. Well, easily 10 games potential girls fighting for 5 spots, which I don't think is happening in any other region, men or women.
That's actually, and maybe that leads into it, that's actually the second part of this guy's question. He goes on and say about training, but then he says, for everyone, do you think the Meridian region should be split into 2? And if so, why is HQ not doing this when the US has so many regions? It's sort of, on the girls' front, definitely leads into that, doesn't it? Because there's so many strong girls.
Yeah, but how would you split it?
Yeah, where would you split it?
North
I think it
and
used to
south
be.
or east and west. It's like how
one thing that should happen is if the regional is Meridian, then the Open should be Meridian.
Yeah.
Like the same pool of people should go into the Open leaderboard.
Yeah.
Like because 30th place in Europe.
Yeah.
How do they compare to 10th place in Africa?
In Africa,
does that mean like if 11th place in Africa gets an invite and 32nd in Europe doesn't? How I would put money on the 32nd in Europe being like someone like Jack being better than whoever is 11th in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe at the open stages it should be all compared the same, but
I think
difficult for regionals.
Would they have an effect on the actual top 5? Then maybe not, but it could be that person's like three-year goal to get to regionals. Yeah. And just because of the structure of something, there's people that go in who he has actually scored higher on all the open workouts. Yeah.
Tough one. The same argument then comes down to like, is the 5th place in whatever region better or worse, and 7th place in another region, like, so I think because they're trying to drive participation worldwide, they can't keep making it like
but wouldn't that drive participation if you split the Meridian region into 2 and gave 3 places for each?
But then again,
would you drive more participation?
Like Steve said, like you could end up with the wrong people. Yeah, the wrong people going. So I think
people moving countries.
Yeah, I think what they had last year was perfect. I was really happy with everything last year.
Yeah, I think they had it right when past champions didn't take a spot. Yeah. So as long as that past champion is in a qualifying spot, so they're still proving that they're fit enough to be at the games, then I don't see anything wrong with a region taking more than 5 people. Right. If you've got, say there was me, Annie and Katrin all competing out of the Meridian region,
3 champions,
I don't see anything wrong with taking another 3 from Meridia. If Meridia is the strongest female region, then you've bonus qualified an extra 3 people.
You probably know Dave Castro better than anyone else sat around this table.
No comment already. Whatever the question is.
No, but do you think, does he think like that? Would he, or is he just, he's developed it this way, this is where it's at for now, let's get on with it?
Like I said,
no comment still. Brilliant. At least we got one. Let's fast forward. We won't ask the games question. We'll leave that till last. Before we wrap up, let's fast forward 5 years. We've spoken about what's gone on and what's happened and then what's happening currently. What does CrossFit look like in 2020, Steve?
I'd hope to see that, like Sam was saying, with there's more money involved. Yeah. I hope to see that more athletes would get backed to pursue like their goal or to pursue getting to the games. Right. Because even still, although there is money now, like people are having to sacrifice a full-time job for not really much in return, like financially wise. So I just hope that there is opportunity for younger people to kind of say like, right, I'm gonna trying to get to the top as a CrossFit athlete, as long as they've obviously proven that they're good enough and they can do that. They've then got the support to be able to go and don't have to work kind of a 9 to 5 job and try and fit it around. I think that'll take CrossFit, like the performance of CrossFit on the whole, like a lot higher.
Sam, will you be preparing for the Masters in 5 years' time? You'll be 39, almost cruising into that. Is that a goal?
Well, I've said that this year is going to be my last year as an individual. Right. I'd quite like to have a play about maybe with team and stuff.
Team, right.
And then
she looked at you.
And then who knows? And then who knows?
Really? What? Maybe not. Maybe that's enough later on. Back to triathlons.
I don't know. It's hard. It's kind of once you've got the bug.
Someone actually asked you something about teams. CrossFit John, I have judged a lot of Foz and the team at Train. Are there any plans to bring back the Four Nations?
The Four Nations was like cool for the competitors, but I don't think it really got much of
not many people watched.
No. So it was cool for us competing.
Yeah.
Me and Steve didn't get on Team UK.
Nah.
Not good enough.
3 years ago we weren't
good enough.
We didn't get on the individual event though.
Is it coming back or not? That's what he wants to know.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's not the demand there. If people wanted to watch it, then it was awesome.
I have no idea what it is.
Basically, it's
sorry.
It's England versus Scotland versus Wales versus Ireland.
Right. So same as the rugby format.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Very good. Phil, 5 years down the road.
Beating Steve at the team
Your team will beat his team.
Definitely.
I'll have a load of youngsters by then. I'll smash you on everything.
So will I. I'll be manager.
I think that's a lot better. Back to what you said, though, Steve, on the money side. Like, if you look at the sport, okay, participation is growing. There's 10,000 CrossFit gyms. Each one maybe has an average of 100 members. Yeah. It's still not a great deal of people.
No.
So where do we expect money to come in to? Obviously, the guys at the top end, there's value in them. But on if I'm coming 30th at the Meridian region, who wants to give me any money?
At the moment, probably not.
No one.
Anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the way I was talking is if you've proven yourself and you've gotten to the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, just look at how they do it in other team sports. So, like, who plays footballers?
Yeah.
Is it actually who does play footballers? Is it the club or is it FA?
Yeah.
What? Like, I'm not saying that CrossFit should give us money, but like this, if they've proven themselves that they're a high-end athlete, maybe they want to keep.
Well, I think like things can change. It's like we've just had to pay $200 to be the main attraction at regionals.
Right.
Yeah.
Which like is fine at the moment.
Yeah.
But if the sport keeps growing,
and
it then becomes like other sports, we would potentially be getting paid to be
at regionals.
It's an appearance fee. You usually get, like any boxers, they get paid to box, whether they win or they lose. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like obviously they get more if they win, but
how does the issue that CrossFit currently has is participation or viewers. Yeah, Liverpool get 50,000 to a game every time they play. Yeah. And I know they play in the Premiership, but even a second or third division club still get 10 to 12,000 people. If you three are three of the best CrossFitters in the UK, if I organised an event in 6 months that you three were going to be at, how many people would we get? How many people were at the Athlete Games last year? 7,000 or 7 people.
7 people.
So how do we grow? How do we grow that?
Yeah, I think it's got to. Well, it's like a pyramid, isn't it? The bigger the community side, if that's at the bottom, the bigger that gets, then the bigger like the top of the triangle will get. So the participation's got to grow, I guess, a lot more for the top end of it to grow.
If the trend carries on the way it's going, then it will keep going bigger and bigger, like every year. Like
if you look at how many people came to watch the games last year compared to like the year before and the year before that, it's a slow process. But like we said before, the games is still
it's very young. Yeah. So it could go. Speaking of that, and we'll finish up with who's going to win the games. But the growth of the games, Sam, you've obviously been there quite a few times, and you've seen it grow from sort of 5,000 people at the tennis court to now, I don't know how many they said was on the football field last year. How does it continue to grow and to allow more spectators to come and enjoy it with keeping the quite intimate atmosphere that it's had since it was sort of mainly in the tennis stadium? How do you get that? Tough.
I think things that they've started doing, like the Invitational and growing other things. So, I mean, I can see that the Games is probably going to be in LA every year. Forever. Right. But then bringing things like the Invitational, maybe taking advantage of the team series and making that a little bit more like the Invitational.
Yes.
And just bringing a few more, like, actually CrossFit sanctioned events throughout the year. Yeah. Where people can go and watch it. Like like the Invitational in Madrid was perfect because the only thing that they've been able to go and see is regionals, which is one event, and they only get to see a few top athletes. Yeah, yeah. Whereas that brought them, 12 top Games athletes to one venue. So just like things like that will help.
So that could be a really good way if CrossFit sort of dished out central contracts to the top 20 finishers at the Games and then took them around the world.
Yeah, they could do like a tour, something like that.
Yeah. We won't speak too much about Grid, but obviously they tried and it didn't really work out very well. So hopefully,
I think they tried too much too soon, though.
Yeah,
they didn't let
too much money too early.
Yeah,
it was big bucks.
People like wherever you send Throne in now, people will go wherever in the world. The CrossFit geeks will love it, won't they? Like,
what's the biggest participation they've had crowd-wise, I don't know if anyone knows, at one of the open announcement workouts?
I don't know.
Probably NorCal one, was it? But
Yeah, they get a few thousand in there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so. Well, it's definitely big enough to hold a few thousand.
Yeah, so maybe that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Final question, who wants to start? Man and woman that will win the CrossFit Games this year. Sam.
You said who do you want to start? And then just-
I'll back Bjorgvin this year.
Bjorgvin,
I think Bjorgvin's. I think Bjorgvin will win.
female.
I'm gonna say Sam because she's here, but I think that Cara Webb
Yeah.
will win at some point, and I think that she's last couple of years she's been good enough, and then not done it. I think she's good enough to win.
Who's next? Sam, you ready now?
I think Cara's still finishing 5th after she ran across the finish line from like a zombie.
Yeah.
it's pretty decent
Yeah.
work. No, I love Cara. I think Cara's cool. Definitely has the potential. Sarah is a beast, and she's gonna do it whether it's this year or not.
Yeah,
matter of time, isn't
Sarah's still young, and still pretty new to the game,
Yeah.
so it's a lot more probably mental.
Yeah.
I'm actually having been switched on the full time,
Yeah.
whereas I think Cara is pretty.
She's been a few times.
Yeah, and she's just very mentally strong and.
Yeah. Males?
I don't know. I think you could possibly see the same top 3 that we got this year.
Really? In similar order or just in... They'll be up there?
Yeah, just be up there.
Yeah. Steve? Phil Hesketh?
You don't have to say that.
No, third. You second.
I think on the women, I'm not just saying it's just study. I think Sam's always got a chance to win events.
Yeah.
And like we said with the scoring, the way the scoring is, that's
Yeah.
always going to put you up there. And yeah, again to Sarah, she seems to get better each year and every competition we see her in.
Yeah.
For the lads, again like Phil, I'd really like Bjorgvin to win it.
Yeah.
That's the time we spent with him last year. He is really impressive as an athlete.
Yeah.
But I think Noah Olsen is going to be up there this year.
Yeah. Maybe it's his year.
Yeah, he seems to have. The competition, he did Dubai Fitness Championships.
Yeah.
And he kind of strolled through that.
Yeah.
What was the other competition? Was it Wadapalooza? Or was another one that he won not so long after. And again,
Right.
he won the Open, so he seems to be in good form.
Good shape.
Yeah.
Anyone, mate, that you've seen around that hasn't, no names that people should look out for?
Jack Conthwaite.
Jack.
Jack Conthwaite. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
So he came. Well, he's 31st, 32nd.
Yeah.
Someone's score got taken out. So he's 31st. He's just got his regional invite on the second round. But as you guys have witnessed this week,
Yeah, he's incredible.
He often smashes me in workouts when
Yeah.
we're back at JST. And he's smashed us all on a few workouts this week. He's still only 24.
Right.
And he's just got a good attitude towards it. And he was very bad at handstand push-ups 6 months ago.
Yeah.
As in where he could do 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Now he's doing 50 plus in workouts.
Wow.
Although it's still not a strength or anything for him.
Yeah.
He's athletic enough to improve on things relatively quickly. So
Awesome.
I think he's got time.
Good. That's enough. Sam, Phil, Steve, all the very best of luck from everyone.
Very much.
Thanks for answering the questions, and hopefully everyone from here will be cheering for you all at regionals and hopefully in the games.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for tuning in to this episode of the podcast, folks, and I do hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks also to Phil, Steve, and Sam for their time and their useful insights. Of course, a massive thanks to our show sponsor, Kareem, who, if you use the promo code InnerFight, will give you 100 dirhams off your first ride. And if you're coming to the gym, use the promo code INNER. If you're leaving the gym, use the promo code FIGHT for 10% off your ride with them. Of course, if you do have any questions for the podcast or any more questions for those guys, drop us an email, winning@innerfight.com. We'll definitely include it and get the questions to them. Of course, if you have a moment, hop over to iTunes, rate the podcast. We really, really appreciate that. Until next time, Take care.